Good afternoon, Ivan and Sebastiano. How are you?
Hi, very well.
Cool. Thank you.
How you doing?
Hi.
So, doing fine as well. So you're both Italians based in Italy, but you just told me before the recording that you have a wide and varied international experience. Do you want to share a few words about that? Sebastiano, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Before coming back to Italy, to my own town, which is where I live now, I have lived for 5, 6 years in London, where I worked in a couple of companies. I was doing Android professionally. Then, before leaving London, I've changed job and I picked up a remote job that allowed me to move back to Italy.
What about you, Ivan?
Yeah, I have been doing Android for the last 10 years across Europe, I would say, for European clients and also in the US. I was lucky to work also for companies in the US, mostly France, Switzerland, Germany, Italy. We came back in Italy last year because the whole remote working opportunity. So we moved back to the countryside. I mean, Italian countryside is nice, even if the internet is a bit weird, but okay.
That's fair. I asked you also before the recording to think about maybe 3 keywords or 3 numbers that would define you, to give us a little bit more color about who you are. Sebastiano, what would define you? What would you say is a good description of who you are?
I would say a keyword that is not necessarily work related is yellow, because people that know me know that I love yellow and I put yellow in everything. I have yellow socks, yellow Firebase socks today for the occasion. But jokes aside, I would say one thing that defines me in terms of my work life is Kotlin, because even though I don't do Android as my day job anymore, I still do Android professionally on the side, but I have started to love Kotlin when I was doing Android full time, and that carried me through to my current job, which is I work for JetBrains, and all the code that I write is in Kotlin. So that would be my big keyword. And in terms of numbers, maybe I would say 6, which is almost the amount of years that I've spent in London. That has been a big impact on my personal and professional life as well.
Very interesting. Do you know what led you to like the color yellow in particular?
It's the sun, it's daylight, is bright, is cheerful. I know some people told me that for them yellow is like it's a bad color. It's not happy at all, and I'm like, I don't understand you. To me, it's very happy. I'm a positive person, and I like that in the yellow color.
It's a very interesting coincidence. I don't know if you know Alfredo Moresi,
yes.
who works at Google.
We were just
in our developer relations team, and he also is a fanatic of the color yellow. So there must be something about Italians and Italian developers and the yellow color.
It maybe indeed is the sun, probably.
Yeah.
It's a sunny country most of the time.
Ivan, what defines you? What are the keywords or numbers or and numbers that would define you best?
I will probably pick curious, because this is what it started me with computers and the whole geeking and nerding stuff and hacking stuff. So curiosity is definitely something very important to me, and it brought me where I am in terms of what I know and what the experience, and increased the comfort zone, because you are so eager to learn new stuff that you don't care if you don't know stuff. That's the part that I like. So I'm a curious person. I'm a positive person, because we need to be, because we are developers. I mean, you can't afford to be a negative person if you want to code, because things go so wrong so often. So you need to be a positive person. So yeah, a number I can give you 10, because Android has been a very huge thing in my life in the last 10 years, so I will definitely pick that. And yeah, again, curiosity, the driver.
When you say you're curious, are there fields which are maybe surprising or not connected directly to computer science or Android that you also have as an interest?
Yeah, I mean, when we moved here, I picked farming, I would say, or like grow your own food stuff, because I didn't know anything. I was like, I need something that evolves over time, but with a different time speed, because what we do in our life, somehow we control time, because you build things, so you have a lot of control. But when you plant a seed, and then it's like, okay, what do I do? Well, now you wait 3 months, and that's it. You don't have control of that kind of stuff. For me, was super interesting, because I needed to change my mindset, So now I'm growing flowers and food. So that was like something new, because I wanted to understand, because my grandparents were doing it, and I was like, now I can do it. I want to do it. So I'm also learning to play ukulele. I do a lot of stuff because I get interested. So that's the idea.
We share a common passion. I started ukulele just 5 months ago. So it's a funny coincidence. Let's talk about technology a little bit. Both of you have submitted a project to devlibrary.withgoogle.com that has been selected. It is featured there. This is, if I'm not mistaken, it's a code sample, an Android app, which focuses on digital well-being. So trying to get notifications to be batched, to be grouped together, so you're not always distracted. Do you want to talk a little bit more about this? How did you come with this app? And what are you trying to achieve with it? Tell us more about it. Sebastiano.
Well, it started because I was getting frustrated while I was working that I was getting a ton of notifications, a lot of them. And I can disable notifications on my computer, but and I can also obviously turn on Do Not Disturb on my phone. But there are some notifications that I still want to get. For example, I might want to get notifications from if my mom is calling me, because hi mom, she does that every now and then. And that's something that I need to answer to, because otherwise she might be thinking, oh, something is not right, because he usually replies to my phone calls. So I wanted something that gave me a bit more control, and at the same time didn't mean that I wouldn't reply to people for hours on end. So what I thought about was, what if we have something that is similar to the Pomodoro technique or similar solutions, where you have an allotted time in which you work and you turn off all interruptions, and then when the time slot is over, you can actually engage with notifications, engage with emails and things like that are not as urgent as everything else is, because otherwise I lose track of things, and I pay too much of a price for context switching, and that's I just want to avoid that, because I think it's not great. Plus, it's a great excuse to try my hand a bit more at Compose, because I've played a bit with Jetpack Compose and Compose for Desktop late last year, but I haven't really done a full application with it. And let's be honest, that's the future of Android UI. So I feel like it's not just important for me to know it, but also it's interesting. It's something that I wish that I will be able to use in more and more things going forward. This is just, as I said multiple times, after all this thing, the streaming, the project, the open source, is just an excuse to force myself to finish that app.
Ivan, thank you, Sebastiano. Ivan, talk to me a little bit about what surprised you in good or negative ways when you were coding on the app, maybe using Jetpack Compose. Anything that surprised you, something that proved easier than you thought it would originally be, or harder, and why did you find it harder if that's the case, or challenging? Talk to me about what surprised you.
It was a complete paradigm shift. So I tried to jump on Compose by myself a few months ago, but then there was some sort of emotional pushback because it was super it was alpha. I was not able to use it with my clients. I was like, I don't know, I don't know if I can invest time now. I don't have the energy. And then when Sebastiano, we started talking about the project, I was like, okay, we can build it in Compose. We can build it together. We can even stream it on Twitch. So the idea was like, okay, this is going to be very engaging, but we still don't know anything about. So I was, at the beginning, I was like, okay, I have no idea how this Compose is going to be. Even if, I went through a couple of tutorials, but, it didn't click. And then when we started working on it, it became very clear that once you switch a couple of things, you just need to understand a couple of key concepts, is way more intuitive than the way we are building Android apps today. So, whatever, everything that we do, you just learn how to do it with the old Android way. You check Google, you check Stack Overflow, and you start, you build it the way, it is supposed to be built or other people build. With Compose, it's kind of emerged. You are more confident to guess how to build something. You give it a try, and then you realize that, okay, it makes sense to you, and it actually works. So the idea is that your intuition, it was actually the same idea that the development team, came up with, because at some point, you build a bit of experience, so you see the problems in a similar way, and they build the solution to actually fit the intuition. And that's the beauty of it. And I'm still, I keep telling Sebastiano, I can't actually wrap my head around a few things. How you went from building apps with like tons of lines of code and tons of XML, and it was okay because that's the way you do it. And then now you have like 5 lines of code to do the same thing. And I was like, oh my God, this is so crazy. Like it took 10 years, but we got here. And now it's a nice moment. It's a good time to be an Android developer, and I'm loving it. I'm loving the experience. So for me, it's super, super nice. There are gonna be still weird things, I'm sure, because that's what we do. But it feels way more, I'm super grateful. It feels way nicer to build things with Compose at the moment.
Yeah, I guess that's very encouraging news for anyone who's starting developing on Android. Yeah. Sebastiano, talk to me. You've both mentioned in passing live streaming. You had mentioned this to me also previously. I'm curious to hear more about your experience live streaming as you code. And if I'm not mistaken, you do this while speaking in Italian. So you're probably one of the very few who do this. Sebastiano, talk to me about this.
We thought initially that maybe we could do it in Italian, but we decided that we might limit the Italian to specific keywords that we use while we code, let's say. But we do the streaming in English, and we try to be live in a time zone that works for the most people. Unfortunately, with us being in Europe, it's difficult to be live at a time that works for East Asia, unfortunately. But we try to pick time zones that work for the US, that work for Europe, that work for India. And it all started, as Ivan said, mostly as a thing we are pairing. We generally have fun when we pair anyway, so let's stream it. And we decided that let's do that. That was the whole decisional process. And we knew and still know nothing about streaming and Twitch, how it works, and bits, and I don't know. But we're just there because we think it might be valuable to people following us and joining us in the live stream, and very often contributing with fixes to our own bugs in the chat, which is very satisfactory. And
if I'm not mistaken, you have 2 times a week when you're live streaming?
Generally, yes.
Do you want to give the times? And I'll put the link also,
Sure.
This is YouTube. Put the link in the description to the Dev Library project of yours, because I know you mentioned the times on the GitHub page. So, do you want to remind our viewers what are the times and days when you're streaming live if they want to join you?
So, as of recording, we are streaming live on Wednesdays and Sundays in the evening European time, which is on Wednesday 6:30, and on Sunday it is 5 p.m., which is I think it's like 11 a.m. for the Sunday on New York time. I don't know. I'm terrible
Correct.
with time zones.
Eastern time.
I'll copy paste them for you, so it's easier to have them.
I'll put this in the
Yeah.
description. People will find you out in any case. They can find your GitHub handle as well. Ivan, talk to me a little bit about what led you both to release this project as open source. You didn't have to, but you seem very keen on sharing things. What led you to do this open source?
The main reason was we want to give back. So the idea was, so we are learning things, okay? So we are streaming it live. So people are already watching us coding and they see the code. But eventually the code is gonna evolve, and it's gonna reach a point where, you know, incremental design, incremental development, you get to a point where you are okay with the quality, you know. So that was important for us. So if you just watch the stream, you can see the whole process, okay? So they make it very bad and they make it work and they make it nice and then they move on, and that was the reason to make it open source, because at that point we can provide our users with a history also how the project evolved, okay, and they can take the code. We had a guest last week. We set it up like a bunch of stuff, very interesting Gradle setup, and then we build a configuration file. And I'm sure that people are gonna be copy pasting the file because it's super useful. I'm gonna be copy pasting the file from our repo to my next project, because you know that's what you do. You realize that, okay, this is useful. We went through all the hustle of fixing it, and that's it. So you are providing the rest of the community with something that is already proven, or at least, you know, it's not rough on the edges anymore because we went through the thing. So the idea was involve people. Over time we will expect, you know, contribution. It will be super nice also to have pull request or feature request or something, you know, because being live and we're trying to build a community kind of project, it's nice that it has to be open source because, you know, it's the right thing to do. So the app will be on the Play Store eventually. So I mean, if you just want the app, you're just gonna get the app. But if you want to see the source code and you can want to play with us, or you can get part of the source code, you can have it. So as that was the main idea behind, you know, trying to make it clear that we make mistake even if we have experience. So it's not intimidating, you know, even if it's something new and we don't have any idea what we're doing, you can see that we are still building stuff, you know. We try, you know, we push, and then we make mistakes, and then we fix it, and then so we want it to be clear. So we don't want to give you, oh, this is it, you know, the final version, we didn't have any problem and we knew what to do all way along. No, we want to give you the real thing. So we struggle and we fix stuff, we learn, and then we struggle on something else. So open
Very
source,
nice.
and it's nice.
Very nice. Sebastiano, what is the worst piece of advice you've heard when it comes to coding, or maybe the wider software engineering industry?
Oh man, I've heard a few.
Go
but
tell us as many as you
I'm
want.
trying to think. Well, one of them is, and this is a personal pet peeve, which is not just about coding, but in general, is people that are sticking to older versions of libraries, dependencies, older paradigms, especially in a new code base. And I think that's not great, because I've seen many people complaining about bugs in libraries that are that they're using, that are maybe versions that have years of development on top, that they could just get and probably get the bug fixed, but like, oh no, I'm not gonna upgrade this because it works for me. Well, it doesn't, clearly, because you have a bug, but then you're complaining that there's a bug. So like, I understand if you are on the latest version and there's something that doesn't work, and that's something obviously that needs to be fixed, but not upgrading things is one of them. And the other one I would say that I recommend not doing is feeling, it's bad if I say it like this, but don't feel too comfortable. Don't fall into your comfort zone. Don't let things pass you by saying, oh, well, at some point I'll catch up with them. Because maybe the time you need to catch up with them, it's already, there's never a too late, but because there's always time to learn. But obviously, if a big opportunity passes by because you have not invested any time in learning new things for years, well, that's a loss for you. And I strongly believe that in our line of work, like in many others, but in particular in our line of work, where the pace of progress and the pace of change is very, very fast, there is no excuse not to find some time and to improve and to learn new things. And obviously, everyone has an amount of time they can spend on it. Some might be, oh, well, I'm going to go to a couple of conferences every year and hear about something new. That's fine. Some will be able to do more. Some will be able to do less, depending on their life circumstances, obviously. But never stop learning is very important.
So make time, remain flexible, and remain curious, to quote Ivan at the beginning.
I actually wished when Ivan was giving that answer that I had given it, because it was so much better than mine.
Come on, shut up. I just had more time to think about it.
Well, I had taken yellow already, so...
Ivan, what excites you going forward in terms of Google technologies or APIs or improvements to SDKs that you're looking forward to play with, or that you're looking forward to a new release? Is there anything that you're looking forward to?
Well, definitely Jetpack Compose, that it becomes stable in July, I will say. Google I/O, they promised it in July, so I'm that's accountability. But jokes aside, the whole ecosystem, the Android ecosystem is evolving in a very nice direction. But I'm also I'm a huge fan of Firebase, so I want to play with Firebase. I'm also in a couple of beta programs, like remote config or predictions, that kind of stuff, the machine learning part that I didn't get at university back in the day. So I'm also very excited from that point of view. The whole idea, being a mobile software developer, I like the idea of having things like Firebase, Firestore, the remote storage, that I don't have to think about, having a backend, or the functions, that you can build because I can do Kotlin, but I cannot do Kubernetes. But so I can build some tiny things and then run on some Firebase. So that for me, these are the kind of technologies that excites me when it comes to building more apps. And I'm also a big fan of AdMob, because advertisement is always nice in my app. I know that Sebastiano has strong opinions about ads, but as a indie developer, it's a good revenue source. So it's a good thing, a bad thing. I don't know. I mean, life is a trade-off. So I'm very excited about this kind of stuff.
Thank you. And I guess what you're not telling us is that you really want to have the Firebase socks that Sebastiano is wearing today. Right?
Yes. I will probably enjoy some Firebase swag. So if you can send stuff to my,
I have some contacts. I have some contacts,
as we do in Italy.
Perfect. Yes, friends of a friend. It's that kind of stuff.
Is that a thing? You actually do this movement with a hand?
Yeah, it's a let's say subtle under the table kind of thing. You know, the idea is that it's a bit shady. I would say it's a bit shady, but it's in a good way.
You know, we're not very smart. It's all recorded right now. But anyway,
Well,
that was the cultural minute. Sebastiano, anything that excites you personally also in terms of Google Tech or APIs or SDKs? Is there anything that you're looking forward to, Sebastiano?
I am looking forward to using Compose in everything. I know I've said this already, but it is such an important thing for me because I am a UI person at heart. I love doing UI, I love design, I love those things. And being able to make beautiful UIs that work, that can be animated easily, like all those things that we have envied to our fellow iOS developers, for example, that had their life so much easier on some things, such as UI, is such a big fundamental shift in the perspective that we have as developers that it's mind-blowing for me. So Compose is at the forefront of my things that I'm happy and hyped about to be able to use more and more and more.
Excellent. One last sentence from both of you. What would be your parting words with fellow developers or someone who's just getting started with using, let's say, Compose or Android or any Google Tech? What would be your parting words to get them motivated? Ivan?
Build stuff. That's the only thing. Don't be afraid. Build things. Just don't care. Nobody cares. You need to focus. Just build stuff. Build whatever you want.
Thank you, Sebastiano. Oh, go ahead. You had one more thing. You were about to say end.
No.
That's it?
Please. Yes.
All right, Sebastiano, go ahead.
From my side, I would say it's okay to do things wrong. Don't hesitate to reach out to the Android community. We are lucky, especially in the software engineering world. We have an especially awesome, inclusive, open community that is ready to help everyone and is welcoming for everyone. And please reach out if you have problems. You'll find someone that can help you. You will learn things, as Ivan said, by doing them wrong. You learn a lot by doing things wrong. Because you do them wrong once, you do them wrong twice, maybe 15 times, but the next time you're going to do it right. The last addendum was for myself in particular. I might do something wrong a lot of times, but when I get to the solution, when I understand what I did wrong, it has led me to grow as a person and as an engineer, and nobody knows everything. Everyone has big holes in their knowledge. And that's obviously, if you're just starting, you have more, but work on it. And over time, you'll get better and better and better.
Thank you very much, both of you, for your time today. Grazie mille. I guess this is how you say it in Italian.
Yes, perfect.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Ciao.